All right, get ready because today we are going deep, really deep, deeper than we've ever gone before.
Deeper than the Mariana Trench.
Well, maybe not that deep, but
Okay.
pretty darn close. We're talking about an entire city, 400 feet underground, built inside a 1,000-year-old mine.
Wow, a subterranean city. That's pretty deep.
Exactly. And get this, a bunch of YouTubers decided to spend an entire week down there.
A whole week
A
underground.
whole week, no sunlight, no internet. Well, limited internet.
I can't even imagine. So what did they do down there? Just sit in the dark?
Well, that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating. We're going to find out what happens when you take a group of YouTubers used to the spotlight and constant content creation and drop them into this isolated underground world.
Sounds like a recipe for, well, something interesting, that's for sure. What kind of sources do we have for this deep dive?
Oh, we've got the whole shebang. We're talking articles, videos, social media posts, and even some firsthand accounts from the YouTubers themselves.
Oh, wow. So we're really going to get the inside scoop.
Absolutely. Our mission, should we choose to accept it, is to piece together this incredible story and uncover what this experience reveals about community, resourcefulness, and maybe even a little bit about human nature itself.
Okay, I'm in. Let's descend into this digital rabbit hole.
Love it. So first things first, let's set the scene. Picture this. You're descending 400 feet into the earth, the air getting cooler and damper, and the only light comes from your headlamp.
Okay, yeah, I'm starting to get a feel for it. A little claustrophobic maybe, but definitely intriguing.
Definitely. And then you emerge into this massive chamber, the scale of which is just mind-blowing. You start to make out the outlines of buildings, streets, even a park. It's like stepping into another world.
It's almost like those ancient underground cities you hear about, the ones people used to hide in during times of war.
It's exactly like that. And speaking of war, there's a historical layer to this story that I find really fascinating. This particular mine might have actually been used as a bomb shelter during World War II.
Wow, really? Talk about history coming to life.
Right. Imagine thousands of people seeking refuge in these very tunnels, trying to escape the horrors of war. It gives this whole story an extra layer of depth and meaning, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. It connects this modern-day YouTuber adventure to this really significant moment in human history.
Exactly. And it makes you think about how humans have always sought shelter and community in the most unexpected places. But anyway, back to our YouTubers. Imagine their reactions as they enter this vast subterranean world.
Yeah, I'm curious, was it like wide-eyed wonder or pure terror?
I think it was a bit of both, honestly. From the sources we've got, some were in awe of the sheer scale of the place. I mean, it's a whole city underground.
Makes sense.
But then there were definitely some nerves, too, you know? I mean, it's dark, it's isolated. Who knows what could be lurking down there?
Yeah, I can see that. It's like stepping into the unknown, both literally and figuratively. Did anyone refuse to go down there?
You know, I don't think so, but one of them, Lazar Beam, apparently has a pretty intense fear of heights. Can you imagine how he felt going down that elevator?
Oh man, that's a whole other level of anxiety.
Right. So even before the pranks and the challenges start, there's this underlying sense of tension and anticipation just from the setting itself.
Yeah, that's a great point. The environment definitely plays a huge role in shaping the entire experience.
For sure. Now let's talk about how they set up shop down there. Because remember, this is a whole week. They need a place to sleep, eat, the basics.
Right, so it wasn't exactly a five-star hotel down there. How'd they manage?
Well, that's where the ingenuity comes in. They established a base camp of sorts, dividing up the space, figuring out sleeping arrangements. And let me tell you, their makeshift shower setup is legendary.
A makeshift shower underground.
It-
I'm
it-
intrigued.
It's basically a water jug with a strategically placed bottle cap. Seriously, I'm surprised they didn't patent this thing.
Talk about resourcefulness. It's like MacGyver meets YouTube, right?
Exactly. And it's not just the shower. They had to get creative with everything. Cooking, lighting, even just finding their way around in the dark.
And I bet that brought them together, right? Like having to rely on each other to solve problems.
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the key takeaways here, right? The importance of teamwork and community, especially in unusual circumstances. They might be YouTubers, but they're still human, and they still need those basic human connections.
I love that. So it's not just about surviving underground, it's about surviving together.
Exactly. But here's where things get even more interesting.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. What happens next?
Well, remember how I said new YouTubers arrived each day?
Yeah, to shake things up, right?
Exactly. And let me tell you, Things definitely got shaken. Just wait till you hear about the power struggles, the pranks, and oh, the Zaxby's.
Wait, hold on. Did you say Zaxby's?
Oh, yeah. But we'll save that story for a bit later.
Okay, you're killing me with suspense here.
That's what we do best on this deep dive. Now, where were we? Ah, yes, the arrival of new YouTubers. So, picture this. You've just about gotten used to the darkness, the limited resources, the whole underground city vibe. You've established a routine, finding your way around, helping out with the chores.
Sounds almost peaceful in a weird way.
Right. And then, bam, a new group of YouTubers arrives, fresh faces, new energy, and a whole new set of dynamics to navigate.
Oh, I bet that threw a wrench into things.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about it. You've got this established group, they've figured out their roles, their hierarchy, and suddenly everything gets disrupted.
Makes sense. Like a new kid coming to school mid-semester. Everyone has to adjust.
Exactly. And remember, these are YouTubers, strong personalities, used to being the center of attention, so you can imagine the power struggles that started to emerge.
Oh, yeah. I bet there were some epic clashes.
Oh, there were. And it wasn't just about who gets to sleep in the most comfortable spot or who gets first dibs on the makeshift shower.
Right. It's about who's got the most clout, who's in charge, who sets the tone for the whole group.
Exactly. And this is where we see some really interesting social dynamics play out. You've got guys like Kai Cenat, known for his chaotic energy and over-the-top persona.
Ah, Kai Cenat, the wild card.
Precisely. And guess what he did? Declared himself the mayor of the underground city.
Wait, seriously? He just crowned himself the king of the underground?
Pretty much. And it wasn't just a joke either. He started laying down the law, trying to impose some order on this chaotic environment.
So did it work? Did everyone just fall in line and obey Mayor Cenat?
Well, not exactly. It was more like organized chaos with a dash of rebellion thrown in for good measure.
I bet that made some great content, though.
Oh, absolutely. And that's another layer to this whole story, right? The fact that they're documenting everything for their millions of followers, but more on that later.
Okay, keep me in suspense.
No problem.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the pranks. Because remember, this is a group of YouTubers known for their elaborate stunts. And, well, let's just say they didn't hold back down there.
So they turned the underground city into their own personal playground.
Pretty much. And some of these pranks were next level. We're talking hidden cameras, fake scares, the whole 9 yards.
I'm surprised they didn't accidentally unearth some ancient curse with all that commotion.
Right. It's amazing they didn't bring the whole place down on top of them. But that's part of the fun, isn't it? The unpredictability, the sense that anything could happen.
Okay, but at some point, pranks have to cross the line, right? There's got to be a limit.
Oh, absolutely. And that line was definitely crossed a few times. Remember Carl Jacobs and Gideon?
Yeah, weren't they involved in that whole mannequin prank?
Yep, that's the one. They rigged up this mannequin with speakers and blasted music in the middle of the night, waking everyone up.
Oh man, I can only imagine the fallout from that.
Let's just say they earned themselves a one-way ticket to elevator exile. That's what they called it, when someone pushed things too far.
Elevator exile. Sounds intense.
It was basically solitary confinement in the mine's elevator. No internet, no contact with the outside world, just you and your thoughts for a few hours.
Wow, so they had a system of punishment down there too.
They had to. I mean, imagine living in such close quarters with a bunch of pranksters. Without some rules, it would have been pure anarchy.
That's so fascinating, though. It's like they created their own little society down there, complete with its own rules and consequences.
It's like a microcosm of the real world, right?
Right.
Power dynamics, social hierarchies, the need for order and structure. Even in an underground city, we see these basic human patterns emerge.
It's almost like a social experiment, isn't it? Throw a bunch of people into an unusual environment and see how they adapt.
Exactly. And speaking of adaptation, let's talk about the exploration aspect of this whole adventure. Because remember, this is a 1,000-year-old mine. There's a whole world to discover down there.
Okay, so it wasn't all pranks and power struggles. They actually went exploring.
Oh, yeah, and some of their discoveries were incredible. We're talking hidden chambers, tunnels leading off into the unknown, even a massive cavern that just took their breath away.
Wow, that's amazing. It's like something out of an Indiana Jones movie.
Right. And they had their own close calls, too. Like that one time they squeezed through this super tight passage. It was almost claustrophobic just reading about it.
Oh man, that's my nightmare. I'd be freaking out.
Right. And then there was the time they discovered an underground lake.
An underground lake, seriously.
Seriously. And they actually built a raft to explore it, navigating through these dark, eerie tunnels, not knowing what they might find around the next bend.
That's both amazing and terrifying at the same time.
Exactly. And that's what makes this whole story so compelling. It's got this perfect blend of adventure, social dynamics, and those unexpected moments of wonder.
So it's like a reality show meets a National Geographic documentary. I love it.
Precisely. But you know what else they discovered down there?
What? Don't tell me. Another underground lake.
Nope. Even better. A Zaxby's.
Wait, hold on. Did you say Zaxby's? Like the fast food restaurant?
The one and only. I kid you not, Mr. Beast, the YouTube philanthropist, built a fully functional Zaxby's down there.
Okay, now I've heard it all. A secret underground Zaxby's. That's just wild. But why? What was the purpose?
Well, that's the beauty of it. There was no purpose. It was just a completely unexpected, surreal moment of joy in this otherwise bizarre and challenging environment.
That's so Mr. Beast, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just randomly dropping his Zaxby's into an underground city.
Exactly. And get this, they kept it a secret from the newer arrivals just to see their reactions.
Oh, that's brilliant. I can only imagine their faces.
Right. It's like this ultimate inside joke shared by those who were there from the beginning. It just adds another layer of fun and camaraderie to the whole experience.
It's like they formed this exclusive club, the Zaxby Society of the Underground City.
Exactly. And speaking of societies, I think it's time we shift gears a bit and talk about the historical significance of this mine itself. Remember, this place has its own story to tell, one that goes way beyond YouTubers and pranks.
You're right, we've been so focused on the present-day adventure, we almost forgot about the layers of history buried beneath the surface.
Exactly. And those layers are just as fascinating, maybe even more so. So let's rewind a bit, back to a time when this mine wasn't a playground for YouTubers, but a potential refuge for thousands seeking safety during one of the darkest chapters in human history.
Okay, I'm ready for a history lesson. Take us back in time.
So we're talking World War II, right? When this mine might have been used as a bomb shelter.
Exactly. Can you imagine that? Families huddled together in these tunnels, hoping to escape the bombs raining down above.
It's just mind-blowing, isn't it? The contrast between that terrifying reality and then fast forward to today with these YouTubers using the same space for, well, pranks and Zaxby's.
It really puts things in perspective, doesn't it? The way one generation's haven can become another generation's playground.
It makes you wonder what those people back then would think if they could see what this mine has become.
I know, right? It's like this space holds echoes of both joy and fear, laughter and terror. It's a reminder that history isn't just something in textbooks, it's all around us, even in the most unexpected places.
Exactly. And it makes those YouTubers' explorations even more intriguing, don't you think? They're not just exploring an underground city, they're exploring layers of history, layers of human experience.
Absolutely. Every tunnel, every chamber could be hiding stories, secrets from the past.
Did they ever find any remnants from that era, like any artifacts or anything?
There's not much mention of that in the sources we have, but it makes you wonder, right? What if they stumbled upon an old diary or a photograph or even just a message scrawled on the wall by someone seeking shelter during the war? Oh, that would be incredible. A tangible link to the past, right there in the middle of their modern-day adventure. It would give this whole story a whole new dimension.
It would. It would connect those two realities in such a powerful way. And it reminds us that history is never truly finished. It's constantly being shaped and reshaped by the present.
That's a really profound way to put it. It's like those YouTubers. By simply being there, by documenting their experiences, they're adding their own chapter to this mine's long and complex history.
Exactly. They're part of that ongoing narrative, just like those families seeking shelter during the war, just like the miners who carved out these tunnels in the first place.
It's a beautiful cycle, isn't it? The past influencing the present shaping the future. And it makes me think about that question we posed earlier. What would WE bring to this experience?
Yeah, what would WE bring to this underground city, knowing the history, the challenges, the unexpected joys? If you could only choose one item, what would it be?
Oh man, that's tough. I'd probably have to go with a good, reliable map. Not just of the tunnels, but of the history, too. Like a layered map
Yeah.
where you can peel back the years and see how this place has evolved over time.
I love that. It's like a map of both the physical and the historical landscape. It would allow you to navigate not just the space, but the stories within it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It would be like holding the entire history of the mine in your hands.
That's awesome. Okay, my turn. I think I'd bring a journal. And not just any journal, but one that's specifically designed for writing in the dark.
Writing in the dark. Why?
Because down there, in that underground city, away from the noise and distractions of the surface world, I think I'd be able to tap into a different part of myself, a more introspective side.
I get it. Like, the darkness would allow you to access deeper thoughts and emotions.
Exactly. And then when I came back to the surface, I'd have this record of my inner journey, my reflections on the history, the present, and maybe even some glimpses into the future.
That's beautiful. A journal of the underground, illuminated by your own inner light.
I like that. And it brings us back to the core of what this deep dive is all about, doesn't it? Exploring not just the physical spaces, but also the hidden worlds within ourselves.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that adventure isn't just about where we go, but also about how we change, how we grow along the way.
And it's about the connections we make, both with the people around us and with the layers of history that surround us. This whole story, it's just been mind-blowing, hasn't it?
Totally. It's had everything. Adventure, mystery, history, pranks, even a Zaxby's. What's not to love?
Right. And I think the biggest takeaway for me is that even in the most unexpected places, we can find community, we can find resilience, we can even find a Zaxby's.
You never know what you'll discover when you dive deep, right? Whether it's an underground city or a hidden talent or a newfound appreciation for the power of human connection.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So to all our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep questioning, and never be afraid to go deep. You never know what wonders you might find.
And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder the possibilities. Until next time, keep diving deep.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey.